Hello everyone and welcome to a new video of I'm Bad at Chess. So today we'll be looking at our first lesson, and what's a better way to start these lessons by looking at my favorite opening. So my favorite opening is what we call the Italian game. For me, it offers a very open game for whites and allows for a few interesting attacks that I'll delve into if we have time. So it starts with the classic e4 and continues with the classic e5. So it usually works with low-rated chess players. Then the very usual, once again, this is the most played opening, two first moves in the world right now. And the response, knight c6. Now this is where it gets interesting. You may know that this is not a Spanish game, this is a real Lopez opening. So this one is interesting, even though I won't talk about this one, because this one attacks the knight, which is defending the pawn, so already trying to fragilize the structure. But here, we'll not talk about this, but we'll talk about one step behind, the Italian game. So it's to put this bishop on c4. This allows for, I think, a very open game. We can already see that there is an attack on this pawn. Okay, we're gonna see the way I play it first, and then I'll talk about the two main subdivisions in the opening. So what I usually do is, with a response like this, for example, I go with this. So this may be surprising because you may think, oh, you're losing the pawn here, that's no good. But here, instead of taking back, because you're not actually using the pawn, but here, you go here, and this is a very important fork. So here, a fork, if you don't know, it's attacking two pieces at the same time, which means that the opponent is forced to choose between the two. I'd say 95% of the people I've played against answered with this disastrous move, h6. So what I'm going to tell you is very important for, mostly low-rated games. So here we have the very interesting move, knight takes f7. So you realize that the king can't take on f7. So the queen, trying to save herself from this fork between the queen and rook, goes away, and the rook is taken. And now you have a huge advantage in the game. So this was the first attack I wanted to see, and we can also see other responses by black. For example, here on this, we have this. So here I usually take back, attacking the knights. Well, it was common before, now it isn't as much. The response with a capture on d5, but this one is not as much because people have realized how dangerous it is to put this knight in the middle, so this isn't used as much. So something like, a usual play like this, which is often matched by this, because if takes, there's the same problem here with this fork. Even if takes with the queen, same problem with the same fork. And yeah, well, if you don't take, there's still the problem. Even if the queen goes out of the fork, this is still winning a pawn, and with this, it's a pretty uncomfortable position for white, how aggressive it is. But now I'll just talk to you about the two main schools in Italian game. So after this, so I showed you the F6, the knight F6 pattern. But just before delving into more of this, there is other response, which is the C5 bishop. So what I found interesting here is, well, a few things. Just I'd like to show you an interesting gambit that I found. It's this one. It's the Evans Gambit B4. Very interesting, because it looks like it's a terrible gambit to just take here. And I mean, it becomes very hard for white losing this pawn. But no, because taking on b4 just leads to then c3, bishop a5, or bishop, well, e7, but this is something else. And then the d4, which is very interesting, because on e takes d4, what is now said to be the best is to castle. From there on out, white has, despite the pawn disadvantage and the seemingly destroyed queenside, has a slight advantage. Despite the evil bar going for black, the continuing, which goes on for 10 moves, so I won't show everything, is beneficial for white. I'd like to show you as well something else. It's so after the c5, you can do the c3. So this is often responded with so c3 is often responded to with something like b6, for example, like this, or something like queen e7. And then what's interesting in this move is to continue it with this. In fact, the goal of this is to set up, so let's put it here, it's to set up this d-pawn for attack on the center. That is the main goal of this. And of course, exchanging is beneficial for white in this position. So of course they won't exchange. It's the maximum. I mean, voila, it's just a very, very beneficial position for white here. So yeah, that's the main lines for a c5 bishop here. And then we have the idea that we already solved the fried liver attack in the beginning, is this f6 knight. So this is pretty interesting because of how it offers even more positions. So this is usually met with, so I showed you g5. I showed you g5, which leads to a lot of different stuff. But we also have d4. So it looks premature, but it offers an interesting position. It protects this. And now there is a great attack on the king side, with maybe a future thing like this, or stuff like that. This is very interesting. We also have, well, we could also say that on d4 here, takes and castles. This is very popular because it allows for a very quick development. So these are the main lines I wanted to show you for the Italian game. Of course, it's extremely extensive and I can't do too long videos on it. So if you want more lines on it, just tell me and I'll look into it even more. Tell me if this helped you in any way, and please like and leave a comment. See you soon.